that many people from all over the world wanted to work and wanted to live and wanted to be. Of course, those that are old enough will remember the handover back in 1997 and some very, very specific promises by the Chinese government that it would be one country, two systems, namely that Hong Kong would maintain its autonomy. It seems that the Chinese Communist Party, in their actions in the last week, have gone completely against those promises. Here was President Trump speaking about Hong Kong in the Rose Garden on Friday.
More than 2 decades ago, on a rainy night in 1997, British soldiers lowered the Union flag and Chinese soldiers raised the Chinese flag in Hong Kong. The people of Hong Kong felt simultaneously proud of their Chinese heritage and their unique Hong Kong identity. The people of Hong Kong hoped that in the years and decades to come, China would increasingly come to resemble its most radiant and dynamic city. The rest of the world was electrified by a sense of optimism that Hong Kong was a glimpse into China's future, not that Hong Kong would grow into a reflection of China's past. In every decision, I will continue to proudly defend and protect the workers, families, and citizens of the United States of America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, that was Donald Trump on Hong Kong, and very powerful, very passionate words. An American president talking about the British Army lowering the Union flag. But of course, from our leader, Boris Johnson, on Hong Kong, not just a former colony of ours where we should feel a degree of responsibility, but of course a place where tens of thousands of Brits live and where potentially, a lot of Hong Kong people may well come to live in our country. From Boris Johnson, we have heard nothing, which I think is very, very disappointing indeed. Well, to find out what is going on, and I must admit, I'm very worried about this. I'm very pleased to be joined this morning by Joshua Wong, a pro-democracy activist in Hong Kong. Joshua, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
So tell me, how bad have things been on the streets of Hong Kong over the last couple of days?
More than thousands of Hong Kongers took to the street and opposed to the legislation of the National Security Law that's just a speech crime for silencing the voice of dissidents and protesters. And even we might face the risk once the law implemented in Hong Kong, they will set up a great firewall in the internet and we can't access to Facebook or WhatsApp in the future.
So they could limit the internet. And what would constitute, Joshua, what would constitute behaviour that could lead to the Chinese authorities seizing you? Is it excessive criticism of their regime? What are the things that this time this week would get you in trouble as opposed to this time last week?
Once the legislation executed, I might not be jailed in Hong Kong anymore and I will face a jail sentence in the jail in Beijing. And the prosecution will not take place in Hong Kong, it will take place in mainland China. It implies how the one country, two system eroded the one country, one system, and UK must not act passively according to the joint declaration, because now it's Beijing who broke the promise.
And do you feel, Joshua, I mean, President Trump, you heard that clip, President Trump was very strong in what he said. Do you feel the British government is being too passive at this moment in time?
Actions speak louder than words, and we urge UK government, especially the Prime Minister, to take a strong stand to oppose the legislation, because this legislation not only bypassing the Hong Kong Legislative Council, but also turn Hong Kong to be the next Xinjiang or Tibet. And Hong Kong might not be the global financial center anymore. And it also affected the global financial stock market. With such erosion and the repression, we should never give up.
Joshua, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on LBC. That was Joshua Wong, pro-democracy activist in Hong Kong, making an absolutely heartfelt plea to Prime Minister Boris Johnson to stand up and say that under the terms that we handed Hong Kong over, we actually now have a duty to stand up and say something. And you know what? On the back of what Joshua Wong just said, I am going to write a quick message to Number 10 and ask them to put a spokesman on my show tomorrow because I think we need to stand up for democratic rights of people in Hong Kong. I think it's a very, very important issue. Indeed, I think actually our relationship with China, potentially, this is the new Cold War. This is a rerun of what we lived through in the 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s. Getting back to the easing of lockdown, we have an old friend of the show, Lawrence in Colchester.
We will make America great again.